Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning, everybody. See a couple of you guys here a little bit earlier today. Well, we got an interesting set of events going on here. We're going to have to go to the charts here to explain what's going on. So here's the 10-year Treasury. So remember, on Friday, we got a report out. It was pretty bad. They initially moved up, but then equities thought that was great, so we moved down. And then treasurers were like, yeah, but personal income is not very good, so we came back up. Then we came on Monday, and they said, hey, there's going to be a trade deal. So it came down. Then yesterday, I think they were saying maybe there's not going to be a trade deal, and we kind of had a big mess in here, but eventually they decided to just kind of move a little bit lower. But this spike right here at the end is, at the end of the day, the United States put some sanctions on China, like on certain Chinese individuals supposedly involved with concentration camps in China. So we move up. And now today, overnight, China says, hey, maybe there will be a limited trade deal, and people are moving down again. Now, if we come back over here to our main window, we can see, I can't see what happened here when they were trying to find a low at like around when I woke up. But here in this area, down towards the bottom, it does look like they were buying it. So we may be in a buy again today. The thing that I see here is the move that we're having, the headline that we're moving off of, seems foolish thing to be rallying off of. Donald Trump doesn't want a limited trade deal. A limited trade deal would basically just be like nothing changes, which would defeat the whole point of trying to get a trade deal. Or it's almost like the Chinese are saying, I'll tell you what, we'll buy a bunch of your American goods and then nothing changes. How does that sound for a deal for you? I don't think that they're going to go for it. I think this is a trial balloon by the Chinese, and that eventually Donald Trump might come out and smack it down. He is on the phone right now, by the way. He just tweeted 4 minutes ago. What was the last thing that he tweeted about? It was Syria. The United States has spent $8 trillion fighting and policing in the Middle East. Thousands of our great soldiers have died or been badly wounded. Millions of people have died on the other side. Going into the Middle East is the worst decision ever made in the history of our country. We went to war under a false and now disproven premise. Weapons of mass destruction, there were none. Now we are slowly and carefully bringing our great soldiers to military home. Our focus is on the big picture. The USA is greater than ever before. Okay. Wow. And The Hill is tweeting out a picture of a sexy tariff costume. What the heck? Really, guys? Really, guys? So that is the situation that we are in. So as it stands, the order flow could be difficult again. I do see some buying coming in. Let's see what they do on the open. We won't have news today, but it is Wednesday, right? Well, we don't. We have wholesale inventories and JOLTS job openings at 10 Eastern time. And then Mr. Powell is speaking at 11. Due to participate in a panel discussion at a Fed Listens event hosted by the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas. Audience questions expected, so that one could be a mover. They did buy on the open, by the way. So this all just kind of puts us in a really odd and difficult area. We are below the opening range, which would suggest selling. think I would rather buy it. I think I would always rather buy it because I know that like if they buy it, you get a better run if you buy it. That's the problem. That's the problem. If you buy it and something scary happens, then you get these amazing runs. And I just want to see those amazing runs again. I think I need a new keyboard. I keep getting double characters. Is that a thing with mechanical keyboard double letters? It could just mean I need to clean them. I don't know. If it's key cheddar, you can desolder the offending switches and solder in new ones. Probably key cheddar. So maybe I need to clean my keyboard. Okay, so a few ticks up and already a little bit of an attempt to push it back down. I'm not so sure that I really want to put on risk today. I think I would need to see something change. I think I would need to see change in the news or the trend. Something, maybe I would be more interested if it was moving up. I don't know. I don't know. Oh my. So now I'm thinking about my computer desk because John was showing me. I was like, he said, "Oh yeah, I have 6 and I could never go back." So I'm like, "Okay, what do you do with it?" So he showed me a picture, and it's just charts, but it's just like he makes the charts really really big.
Winstanzamam, good morning, Speculatorseth and bless you, Gesundheit.
Thank you. Hope you're doing well. Anyways, I don't think I could do 6 monitors, man. That would be a little overwhelming in this tiny room. But I am thinking I need, well, plus it's like, what kind of stand do you get for that? I don't know. Oh, that's interesting. That's 1 1/4. So, I was wondering how thick is this desk? Wow, this desk is 1 inch and then maybe 1/4. 1 1/4 inch, which is kind of actually an odd size. I think maybe if I make a new desk, I make it 1.5 inches or something like that. Let's see here. But what do you put around the edge? There you go. Maybe you just use this regular veneer and cut it down to size. Okay. Well,
YouTube, Winstanzamom, there is a very good YouTuber, Seth. His name is Frank James and he is an INFJ in our Jungian typology, MBTI community. You might check out his channels for creator content. I leave your channel name.
sure.
YouTube, Winstanzamom on our community channels, but he might be helpful to know for networking tips, community, etc.
Yeah. I was watching a video yesterday. It was funny because somebody was coming in the other day and they're like, oh, you guys are all laugh now, but when he's like a famous YouTuber and everything like that, and making tons of money off of that instead of trading, I'm like, no, I want to make my money off of trading. But I wouldn't mind making a lot of money off of YouTube. I think, well, I keep saying it's probably unlikely the channel ever gets popular, but maybe I'm selling myself short a little bit there because, Win turns in all the time, and I don't think she's done any trading yet. So clearly there's some entertainment value to it beyond if you're trading, which I appreciate. Maybe a lot of people will be interested, maybe not. I don't know. But certainly can try. But when I was going through that, and I think maybe the reason I was thinking about it because I was watching Sunny Lenarduzzi. If you watch Sunny Lenarduzzi, she's like, you want to build your YouTube channel, she's like probably the best person to watch. She has so many good tips and stuff. Anyways, and I was watching that, and one thought that I had was maybe I should start a second channel for the politics. That was the first thought that I had. But then the second thought that I had was, I really should spend more time trying to leave comments on other people's YouTube channels about trading. But then I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, who else in the trading community's channel would I actually want to watch, because most of the other people that I've seen are like snake oil salesmen or lying to everybody, and I don't know, man. But I feel like I should do more networking. I also think at some point we need to build an email list, because they said something else that really stood out to me and kind of scared me a little bit. Was they were like, you don't want to be, you don't want to have all your eggs in the YouTube basket. What happens if the algorithm changes, or who knows what happens? Maybe the Chinese decide that they don't like your channel and YouTube decides to bow down to them, Then what do you do? So you should have an email list. So I think we should make an email list. That's going to be the weekend project, I think. Well, no, probably we're going to have to record some
YouTube,
stuff first.
Winstanzamom, there is a community spirit developing on YouTube that is like old Hollywood when the movies first arrived. YouTube has fashion live streams like TRINNY, and there are a few others.
Oh, yeah. There is a YouTube for everything. It's so funny. If I want to learn how to do something, so I've been thinking about my setup here. I've got the 3 monitors. Now I would really like to get a monitor stand for it. But I'm concerned that I would really like to use the kind of monitor stand that mounts into the table. But this table, it's like a Linmon from IKEA. It's not solid, so you can't really drill into it. So then I'm thinking, well, maybe I should make my own desk. $50 a sheet of plywood, 2 pieces of plywood, put them on top of each other, veneer edge, stain it black, I guess. Could be really cool. But I don't know anything about that. So I go and I search for stuff about, okay, what kind of desks are out there? How do you do these sorts of
YouTube,
things?
Winstanzamom, I am here because you are interesting and I can engage and will trade at some point, probably, but I want to develop a channel for my ferret community.
Oh, yeah.
Asaurus Ike has his equipment list published.
I tell you what, watching ferrets, I'm sure that there would be a lot of people that would love to just watch ferrets play all the time. Like that, what's that cat Maru, right? You could be the Maru of ferrets. There you go. Would be great. We can capture the best moments in GIFs and put them on Reddit. It'd be big. But now when I want to search about, okay, what's the best kind of wood to use and how do you actually make a desk like that, or What monitor stands did other people use? Um, I don't search Google anymore. I go to YouTube, which is really, and it's not like the most efficient way to find information, but it seems like that's the only place that anybody actually puts thorough, useful information anymore. Everything on the web is just like clickbait trash. Well,
YouTube, Winstanzamam, Asorapsych MBTI, he is an INTJ. I will get my certification in December in Gainesville and will do some typing, but I don't need money, per se.
yeah. I don't know. For me with the YouTube, I mean, because I have a day job, it's very
YouTube,
nice.
Winstanzamam, Reddit has a nice ferret community, but the HFF is the leading site.
Oh, there you go. Because to me, I have a good day job. It would be nice to leave the day job and just spend all day doing stuff for you guys. When I think about all of the stuff that I would want to do, make a newsletter. Hey, let's make a second channel that's just politics. All of that sort of thing. Uh, yeah, it would be really nice to make a lot of money off of it. But to me, it's kind of more like the challenge. It's just like I've always wanted to make content on the internet that gets popular. It's just always been something that's been interesting to me. And so I'm always, what can we do? What can we do to get more videos? I think we're doing well. I think the videos that we've put out recently have been really good base videos that people are finding useful. I don't think I'm actually getting like more aggregate views on the channel overall with those videos, but what's happening is YouTube would normally be recommending just my regular day trading videos, but now my other videos are taking up some of those views instead, I think. Or it could be that I am getting more views, but it's just like a really small amount that I can't see it. But it's just a challenge. Same with trading, I guess, but trading's a little bit different of a mind game, isn't it? And
YouTube, Winstanzamam, you need a team at some point. Maybe a team of volunteers at first, then add some ads once you have the required numbers. People will stay and engage despite the topic of interest. I see this a lot.
yeah, that's definitely true. Well, and that was something that I really looked into really seriously for a while, but I kind of gave up on. Was like, how cool would it be to go back through the day's video, cut out the best rants, cut out the best trades, and just make like a 5-minute video of like the best moments of the stream of the day, right? That would be really cool. I think it would be generally useful for the channel. I don't know if it would get a ton more views, but I mean, let's be honest. Most people aren't going to go back and rewatch the whole stream unless they're practicing the order flow. So to have an abbreviated thing would be great, right? But oh my gosh, that is so much editing. That is hours of work every day. And, you're going to pay somebody to do that would be awesome, but you're not going to make that money back. It's not practical. So, but if I was doing it as a full-time job, then probably I could go in and I could start doing this. So I'm getting a signal here. Maybe they're going to turn back down again. Only get to 19, huh? Let's watch it here really carefully. That I am getting a signal, but I think that part of why I'm getting a signal is because it's been here for a long time. It's not really flickering a ton. Well, there was a little bit of stuff right there. They hit a 19.5 and they add more and sell into 19. I don't know. I'm also kind of thinking, because my desk is black, but I'm wondering, should it really be black? Maybe I should try doing kind of like that wood, like that whitewash
YouTube,
beechwood
Winstanzamam,
kind
did
of
you
thing.
get to see the movie or Jerome Powell when he
No,
spoke in Utah?
No. So I messaged the KUED Facebook, and they messaged me back later. So did you get to go? And I'm like, no. And then they didn't respond back. Like, oh no, it's probably our fault. But I did call them in. I did call in, and they said, no, I don't. We don't have any more tickets for that. And I was like, I'm not getting in. And I gave up. Maybe I gave up too easily, but I didn't go. It didn't sound like he said anything important. But I need to learn. I want to learn more about this guy because I didn't realize that Utah had been a Federal Reserve president. Not only was he a Federal Reserve president, but he was a very significant one because he was president of the Federal Reserve during FDR, and he was basically the one, as I understand it, that kind of came in and said, no, the Fed needs to increase the money supply and do these things to revitalize the economy. That's what our role is. And so in a certain way, he kind of, I mean, I don't know all the details. Maybe I'm talking out my butt, but just from the small bit that I read, it sounds like he kind of almost invented modern monetary policy. And his name was Mariner, which I think is an interesting name. I'm like, hey, maybe it's on the baby list. It's on the baby name list. I put it there. I don't have very many good names on the baby name list, though. Most of the names that I put in there are just names to like, you know, uh, for fun to see my wife's reaction about how much she hates the name. You get what I mean? So like one of the ones that I put on there was Eugene. I'm like, that is the worst, most nerdy name I've ever. Who would name their kid that these days?
YouTube, Winston.
She hated it,
If you
of
want
course.
to see politics from a different angle, the Florida Panhandle angle that is left of the aisle and a very good man, Bo of the Fifth Column has an interesting channel. Mariner. Wonderful.
I think it's a good name. Maybe we'll do it. We'll see. A left-wing politician from the Florida Panhandle. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, I think the...
YouTube, Winstan's mom. I wanted to name my son, Chase Alexander.
Chase is
my husband said they would chase Alexander, so we settled on Eric. We called him Rufus in utero.
Eric. So the issue I have is my wife wants the name to be multiple syllables. Although there is stuff on there on there that is not multiple syllables. Where is... There it is. Shared. I think Eugene. I think she already saw that and rejected. She didn't say put it on the rejected list, but okay. But I'm gonna replace that with Chase. Maybe there is a multi-syllable name like Chase. She seems to like the idea of the name Theo, though, and that's only one syllable. I don't know. But all of the other names are multiple. Oh, the funny one was my stepson's name is Everett. And she said, well, we should name our kid Emmett. Oh, yeah, so let's confuse everybody. This was a brilliant idea.
YouTube,
but I don't think
Winstan's mom. Multiple syllables means people add an O or an A to the name. That is why Norma named Paul, so they wouldn't add the A or O, but they did anyway.
Right.
Exactly. YouTube, Winstan's mom or mount.
Or mount. What do you mean by mount? They're still pushing it up. They haven't busted out of this area. So I got a signal. It's turned into a zipper. So typically when I get that sort of a thing, it makes it harder to tell what it's going to do. Unless you have a really good long-term read on it. Now, there was a bit of a sell there, though. Somebody clearly tried to sell it off of that.
YouTube, Winstanzamom, dinner time, Everest, come on, Mount. Come to dinner,
Oh, right.
Mount and Everest.
No, Everett. There you go. But Everest is interesting. Would be an interesting name. Okay, so they tried taking 20, E-mini moving down as it did. I did say in here it looks like they're buying it, doesn't it? Didn't I? I think, though, I would rather see... I'm a little skeptical about that. You know, E-mini is up pretty good. When the session starts, are they going to try buying it again? I don't know. Oh, that's right. The FOMC meeting minutes today as well. We're definitely getting a bubble up. I'm not necessarily seeing stuff that indicates to me that there's somebody out there that really thinks they know which way it's going and they're desperate to buy as much of it as they can. It's just kind of like slowly moving that way. Maybe because of a longer term position or something. I don't know. It's pretty... It's not the best action, to be honest. We'll probably get a really good move later, but... I need to change the date. Let's do that. Bacon futures.
YouTube, Winstanzamom, bacon futures. Oh, not bacon. It's scary news for bacon fans. The US could see tight supplies, or even some shortages of pork bellies along with ham next year as a pig-killing disease in China.
Mm-hmm. Man, China. Let's talk about China. Have you seen the whole thing with Blizzard? I think some non-gamer people might say, okay, well, that's an interesting story, but kind of dismiss it.
YouTube,
Hey,
Lucas, morning.
How's it going? This story with Blizzard is probably the biggest piece of news this week. And it's so funny that the big cultural flashpoint this week happens to be from Blizzard. Oh man. So what happened was Blizzard has a kind of an online card game called Hearthstone. Some people get really competitive with it. Apparently, it's extremely popular. One of the most popular games on Twitch. And there was the winner of a tournament. They gave an interview, and he said something about Hong Kong. And I guess that's against their rules or something. And so they banned him and like took away his prize money and everything. Because he said something, about bad about China and Hong Kong. And everybody's flipping out. And I personally, I mean, I'm not necessarily somebody that's prone to boycott. I mean, certainly, well, like for instance, the Gillette thing. I mean, I don't really use their products anyways, but when they started doing all those ads and stuff, I was kind of like, wow, I'm definitely not going to use their products now.
YouTube, Lucas, gotta love communism.
Gotta love communism. I'm telling you guys, don't trust communists. They are greedy mothers, and they will either screw you over or drag you into their schemes.
YouTube, Winstanzamom, the competitive professional esports player known as Blitzchung, had just won a game in a tournament for the video game Hearthstone and went on a Taiwanese broadcast to do a post-match interview.
Exactly. They also banned the 2 interviewers, which I guess they were from Taiwan. Maybe that's why, but they didn't do anything wrong, and they got rid of the 2 interviewers. Like, what the heck? Anyways, the thing is the Blizzard community was already kind of upset at them because last year at BlizzCon, everybody thought that we were going to get a new Diablo game, and we did, but it was a mobile game. And so everybody's like, it's a mobile game. This is lame. They were all kind of like in disbelief and asking questions that weren't particularly positive. And the Blizzard guy is like, don't you guys have phones? Yeah, everybody was really mad at them over that already. Overwatch kind of has issues. Some people are not happy about Overwatch. But now this thing is just like the final nail in the coffin. Like it's unless a Blizzard comes out and has some sort of complete turnaround, like they reverse the decision and they reiterate their commitment to freedom around the world and just totally trash China and say we don't care if we get banned from China and all of this sort of thing, which I mean, it's Activision Blizzard, like they're a stock company now. I don't know if that's going to happen. But unless they do that, yeah, they might be done, which is kind of scary to think about. But I digress. But it's kind of turning into this cultural flashpoint. Like, everybody is like, screw China at this point over this sort of stuff. And then China comes out last night and they say, well, we think that there could be a limited trade deal. No. I wonder if some of these moves, if China is kind of making a lot of noise over them on purpose to kind of try and say to the United States, see, this is what happens. If you don't get Chinese business, it's not good for your companies. But if that's what they're doing, it's going to backfire because people are going to be like, we don't care. They don't. I think that they're kind of making like one of those communist mistakes. Like they think that all capitalists only care about the money. But what they don't realize is that Americans care more about sticking it to the communists. Good morning, Algo Liver.
YouTube, Algo Lover, GM winking face.
Good morning. We're still, I mean, we didn't break the downside targets, did we? It's still up. Although, well, the thing that's interesting about it.
YouTube, Algo Lover, ZN, watch out for sellers if they bid up into 131, 240. Buyers need to regain bid above that level for any continuation from here, thinking face.
Yeah. I'm just kind of looking at it. Clearly the trend is long, right? They just got their first 2 ticks down, I think. We might have a pullback here. I'm not getting a signal, but I am getting extremely low interest here, so
YouTube,
they might have to turn
Algo
down.
Lover, gotta run, HAGD.
Yeah,
thumbs up.
They might have to turn down here, but the pressure has very, very clearly been up, and I think it's because this piece of news
YouTube,
that they're
Lucas,
moving isn't
Seth,
really.
do you foresee further rate cuts announcements today with minutes?
Well, so I don't think that within the minutes that they would say more rate cuts, but they're definitely going to give us a better idea of what they were trying to tell us last meeting. The thing is that we've had so much data that's come out since the last meeting. That stuff probably matters more. And the thing that's going to be interesting to see is because there was some people in there, I think, that still didn't want to cut rates, right? So, and the funny thing is, the market is still seems like they're like 50-50 on whether there's going to be 4 rate cuts. And I'm starting to think it's extremely likely that there's going to be 4 rate cuts, especially if all of this stuff today just kind of like falls apart.
YouTube, Lucas, exactly. With all this new data, I was hoping maybe today they will cut.
No. I mean, it's not an FOMC meeting today. It's just they're releasing the notes from last meeting. So we'll get, you know, an idea of what actually happened in the meeting. Look at the way they go. Hmm. It was definitely a tick down. It was a little
YouTube
too
Ace
easy for
Trades
them to
morning.
do. Good morning, Ace. It's a little too easy for them to push it down, but there could. I was expecting more than that.
YouTube Uzi Knesset morning.
This right here, I don't know. It's really subtle. I don't know if you can see it, but this tiny little decrease in, significantly lower interest once they got
YouTube
into that
Lucas
zipper.
Uzi. YouTube Lucas High Ace.
It seems like there was some exhaustion here. But how far back do they have to go to run into buyers again is the question. Or does it just completely retrace maybe? Oh man, you know what I
YouTube
just
Ace Trades short signal 2914.25. Give it a
really
sec.
really I don't like that one. It's already like your risk reward is. I mean, it's right there on the edge of a support level, and I'm getting kind of those small increases in a level 2 activity. So there's going to be some people here trying to lean. Oh, why is my nose so dry? So yesterday, I get off of work, I go and I get in my car. Um, Nothing's amiss. Turns on everything, but it won't start. Couldn't start. Like total full power. Radio turns on, everything. Won't start. Wife comes over. We jumpstart it. It starts when I jumpstart it. So I had to take it into the shop again. I'm super pissed. So we just fixed that, and I don't want to have to spend more money on
YouTube
that.
Ace Trades at Lucas morning at Uzi Knesset.
I'm hoping it's just like a bad wire or something. I don't know. But man. And I just heard the kids stirring upstairs, and I'm like, oh yes, that's right. And I have to drive my wife into work so that I can use her car today. Yeah. I'm a little upset about it all. I and I don't want to get rid of this car. I like the car. It has a good sound system, guys.
YouTube Uzi Knesset waving hand at Ace Trades.
Well, he said give it a second, so I'm not a particular the spot though, it's not for me. So I'm just gonna watch it. Usually when I say that, that's when they sell it and it's just gonna go and go and go and go, and I'm gonna be like
YouTube Uzi Knesset you bumpin' 812s in an old Daewoo.
it's an Acura TL. I would love to get like an old style, like I'll show you. Kind of like a small coupe with 80s styling and like the panels in the back. Like a BMW M1, right? I really like that kind of look. Like a sports car hatchback kind of a thing. I think that's so cool. Apparently a car like that is not cheap. Anyways, I think the thing or the reason I like my car
YouTube
is the
Ace
sound
Trades,
system.
okay. Now pull the trigger on that level, maybe at 0.50.
Hmm. Well, it didn't move enough out of the bar to tell me. So it's telling me that some sort of a turn is possible here. It's just we've been moving down, right? Huh. Okay, so we ticked up there in the 10-year. The 5-year is getting pushed. The 5-year got pushed as it moved up. Yes, it did. Wow. Okay. And they kind of ran into a little bit of an iceberg. So something's happening here in the treasuries. Hmm.
YouTube, Winstan's mom, good morning, ace of
22.
my trades. Gas is over $4 a gallon in
Ugh.
California. Are your gas prices close to that sort of a high? We pay under $3 a gallon here in the land of meat and 3.
Yeah, in Utah, we're paying around 3, I think. It's more than $4 in California, right? I saw this picture where there were like these two gas stations that were a mile apart, but one of them was in California and one of them was in Nevada. And it was like a $2 difference or
YouTube
something.
Ace Trades at Winstan's mom morning.
Pretty crazy. Overhead resistance is stalling USD JPY in early New York trading. Don't see that so-called resistance on the chart.
YouTube
Okay.
Uzi Knesset, $2.32 last time I filled up.
Oh, really? I think it was more than that for me because I spent like $50 on my last tank of gas.
YouTube Ace Trades, okay, just got stopped out on that trade, sorry guys. I am not perfect.
Yeah. You really got stopped out? You're only taking 3, right? So that touch of 25.
YouTube Dojo long GEZ19 Z20 spread up a few ticks since yesterday. Have you ever traded GE?
I can't even actually see GE correctly, I don't think. Let's try it, shall we? Hold on. Which one should we do? December? Sure. December. So if I load up GE, this is what it gives me.
YouTube Ace Trades even GE doesn't trade GE. YouTube Winstanzamom, we fill up our tank in the Prius, maybe once a month or every 2 months. We just don't need to drive anywhere now, unless visiting family and they live everywhere but here.
I drive too much. I really need to build myself a weightlifting platform and buy myself some weightlifting weights. And yeah. So yeah, Jigsaw doesn't seems to me that Jigsaw just doesn't show those instruments correctly, because I only get um, size at every other price. Like, what's with that? And I thought that the Qs in GE were way bigger than that. Representative Jim Jordan, frankly, I think the American people have a right to know who the whistleblower is. If we're talking about impeachment of the President of the United States, I think that's important. I don't know. The thing is nobody protected Monica Lewinsky's identity. I mean, come on. And it does seem that this
YouTube
whistleblower
Ace
has
Trades
bias.
got short at 2,914.50 again. Revenge trading is the best way to make money.
There you go. I'm watching it. I think one thing going in your favor is they had a little impetus up and it didn't go anywhere. And the treasuries are kind of ticking up there.
YouTube, Lucas, yes, show the market who's the boss.
Right? I should have done it, yesterday. Could have gone revenge trading, and I probably would have worked. It would have worked out for me, right? If I'd just taken the 4 ticks, and I would have come out positive. But whatever. What's this? Not QE, not a flamethrower.
YouTube
Blah,
Ace
blah, blah,
Trades
blah,
at Winstanzamom. I'm not a fan of the carbon footprint of the Prius, but I love the sentiment.
blah. Are you saying that you don't like that it doesn't use a lot of gas, or are you saying that the materials that take to build it require too much carbon? Because I'm thinking if I'm forced to buy a new car here, I may be that I just want a Corolla. I want like the energy efficient Corolla, not the Prius, but the Corolla that's eco whatever.
YouTube Ace Trades, the battery is an ecological disaster, one car at a time.
I gotcha. The Fed will struggle to convince markets that a resumption of Treasury purchases is not another round of quantitative easing. Hard to communicate that effectively when the
YouTube
Fed's organic
Dojo,
balance
the
sheet
PE
growth will
spread
be
has a
half the
nice
size of the
correlation to the
ECB's newly
treasuries.
filled QE.
Nice for position trading.
It does seem like it does have a...
YouTube Winstanzamom. I am a Googling Prius and the carbon footprint. I may have to buy a bicycle, lol.
I mean, that's where things really start to get mind-boggling to me. Is carbon is in everything, and to even calculate whether something is using less carbon or not, in some cases, is like impossible to do because the world is just so interconnected and everything. That it comes from all over the place, and you might not know what went into making that. It's really quite an interesting conundrum that's kind of fun to watch people try and sort out. But
YouTube Winstanzamom, the notorious and very funny South Park episode in which a deadly attack of smug afflicts the little mountain town whose residents all drive a hatchback called the Pius.
yeah, the
YouTube
bias.
Ace Trades at
That's
Winstanzamom.
right.
Well, in the winter, I don't want you out there, scarf trailing behind, face frozen. YouTube Lucas, there was a guy here that got arrested for going to the office on one of those parachutes with a motor behind in the middle of the city.
What? Man. That South Park episode was hilarious. If you haven't seen the one about China, you can go online and watch it for free. You should go watch it. It's not like their best episode or anything, but just the fact that they're willing to do it as turning into like a cultural flashpoint. It's kind of funny. And I'm betting that they continued the storyline and it just gets better and better. Usually, like the third or fourth gag on a concept like that
YouTube,
gets
Uzi
better.
Knesset, you can't in China grinning squinting face.
No. Well, maybe you could with a VPN. Maybe. I mean, there are ways of getting around the firewall. Wouldn't recommend it though. I don't want any of my viewers to get beaten by the Chinese police, and we do have viewers in China. Man, this is kind of mind-boggling to think about.
YouTube, Winstanzamam and George Jones got busted for drunk driving on his tractor around here. Driving a tractor drunk around here is not that unusual, says she who reads the newspapers still.
Are they going to tick up again or what?
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, pretty sure using a VPN is a gulag-able offense in China, haha.
Oh yeah. But so many people do it. Those business people feel like they have to because otherwise you don't get all the information. Anyways. Yeah, I do want a car that gets really good gas mileage though, because I don't like paying for the gas. But trying to calculate your carbon footprint is ridiculous. I mean, the thing that's so silly about it is like, well, not so silly, but honestly, how do you? I'm not so sure it's a solvable problem. Like, okay, well, how about just energy? Well, I can solve that problem for you. Nuclear power. Fourth generation nuclear power we can do safe.
YouTube,
efficient.
Winstanzamam, I like the idea you might have a political channel for discussions. That would be fun, and I know a bunch of young people, conservative and liberals alike, who would love to engage with that channel.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was able to get a lot of activity on those videos, even though they were kind of clickbait. But I think I can show you guys here. I'll try and explain why I stopped doing it. And it's not like a for sure thing, but I saw enough of a hint that I was like, maybe it's not a good idea. Analytics. So if I look at today, this year, okay. So here
YouTube,
was
Uzi Knesset, a political channel is just begging for death threats and media smear pieces, lol.
Right. Okay, so I started doing that in February. Can you see? That was the day that I posted the first video like that. Okay. Here I got a couple of videos like the Procter and Gamble video and stuff like that. And you notice how afterwards that the number of videos, daily video
I might
views?
have a frozen face, but it would be smiling while I think of dancing with you, and I will wear a cashmere scarf because you deserve luxury and perfect posture beside you.
It's kind of weird. But when I was looking at it, I saw that it was kind of a little bit lower. Well, it was a little bit higher than before, but it kind of...
YouTube, Ace Trades, at Winstanzamam melting beaming face with smiling eyes. YouTube, Uzi Knesset, I just cringed into a singularity astonished face.
Man. Cashmere scarf.
YouTube, Winstanzamam, Speculatorsith, that was a comment for Ace, lol.
I totally cut that. A political channel is just begging for death threats and media smear pieces. Sure, I would be overjoyed if that's what happened, to be honest. But I stopped doing it because I thought that I was maybe giving confusing signals to YouTube, that it wasn't sure what kind of a channel I was, and so it wasn't sending me the right people anymore. So I kind of stopped doing it. I stopped making that daily thing, and I thought, or that weekly video. Plus, it was a lot of work. it was a lot of work, and it was like, well, it's not really helping me the trading part of the channel, which is the important thing, so I should stop. But maybe I could make a second channel. But I think if I was going to make a second channel, I would need to have do a lot more stuff, you know? Like leave a comment. I would want to be making videos almost every day, kind of like Tim Cass does. I would want to be doing it like Tim Cass does, and then have a weekly show. I think it's too much work. That I don't think I have the free time to do that. I'd have to be doing it. I would have to be doing it as a full-time job. And not only that, but I kind of question if politics on YouTube can really truly be all that profitable in the long run, you know? Because it kind of seems to me like that they don't want to pay people for that.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, Tim Pool, taking the world's slowest red pill lol.
Right. That guy is interesting to me because he's clearly not conservative, but his audience is.
YouTube, Luis Alared, song and dance channel I'll watch Seth. YouTube, Ace Trades, wow, there is a point. 2.
Yeah, good job. Finally got a good impetus lower. The treasuries aren't really reacting
YouTube,
to it.
Uzi Knesset, yeah, we all waiting for him to collapse lol.
2911 is like the overnight midpoint. So might be a spot where we can see
YouTube,
some
Lucas at Ace Trades, you mean on that previous level?
I mean, the thing is either A, he is just
YouTube,
really
Ace
stubborn,
Trades at Lucas yes, from that entry.
or B,
YouTube, Winstanzamom, check out Hysteric talking with famous people. His channel is like the Truman
you
Show.
told us about that
He
one
simply
again.
aims the camera at the couch and chats. He has a cast of characters who engage and it is always 420 time.
Right. No, but I kind of wonder if Tim Cass is playing you all. I kind of wonder if he does lean conservative, but he pretends that he doesn't because he knows he gets more views for
Lucas, gotcha.
So that you think that that's a possibility? Anyways, the other thing is, if I can just show you here. It's kind of hard to show you guys, but probably shouldn't. The videos that I make about
Lucas,
trading.
Sorry, I think the expression has got it lol.
Even though they have way less views than some of the political videos, they make more money. That's kind of because there was the people that are into politics, especially liberals, they don't click on stuff.
Man, I've been traveling YouTube political circles for 7 years now. It's all fakery, especially the conservatives who popped out of nowhere in 2016.
Oh, you're totally right. There are definitely some. So what's this lady? What is her name? She's Candace Owens. I'm not entirely sure that she's genuine because it seemed to me like she was looking to become a political personality, and she didn't care what the ideology was behind it. And I get concerned when I see people whose ideology base seems to be based on what makes them the most money. You know what I mean?
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, we're all conservatives but we live in LA, PFFT.
Right. Man. I mean, the thing is that the really, there's different types of conservatives, right? There's like that college Republican kind of person, but and they're the guy that's always been into civics.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, she realized the right pays better.
Yeah, the right
YouTube,
pays better.
Dojo, what video scheduler do you use? YouTube, Winstanzamom, Tim Pool 636k subscribers. I had not heard of him yet. A fair amount of people on social media are actors paid to read a script, but that's sort of the same on some news channels. Anchortainers. YouTube, Uzi Knesset, Candace Owens was a far leftist who tried starting a doxing website a few years ago. Even the leftists outraged over it. She vanished for like 6 months and came back a Trumper.
Yeah.
YouTube, Ace Trades, going to lock in a point plus a tick for commission and hold through the opening. I mean, if you want to know.
I do want to know. Okay, that was a ton of stuff. I love that it reads out everything. But now it's kind of question of, okay, we're talking about a bunch of different things. What to talk about? But we were talking about Candace Owens primarily. Yeah, listen. The right pays better. Politics in general doesn't pay very well. So like the video about Bernie Sanders, basically flunking out, and the video about Andrew Yang that I made are like have the worst CPM of all of the videos on my channel. So the videos that I made that were targeted towards liberals make less. They click less, and the things that they click on are paid less. Like if I make a video about, like a really good example is I made a video about NinjaTrader, how to debug with NinjaTrader.
YouTube, Winstanzamom, 1 point is worth $15. I think I heard Seth explain it that way yesterday.
1 point is, well, with the contract that Ace is trading, it's worth about $100. 1 point is, or sorry, 1 tick is 125. 1 point is 5, and then 2 points is $100. So 2 points he made $100, but he did it on multiple contracts.
YouTube, Winstanzamom, nice. YouTube Ace trades at Winstanzamom 1 point as $50 dear per contract. If you had 5 contracts, how much would that be?
$250. But he will often catch way more than that, and he's catching a couple thousand. That one that he caught, like way back, seems like it's been forever now. But there was that one that he caught short that was really amazing, and that was like, that was almost $5,000 or $7,000, wasn't it? That was like nice. You just made on one trade. You just made more than I make in a month.
YouTube Ace trades stopped out. YouTube Winstanzamom, enough to buy a very pretty little black dress to celebrate. Is that the right answer? It is a very feminine answer.
Yeah, but if you do that every day, you're going to buy a new dress every day, Win? Because he gets that almost every day. He gets the 2 points pretty much every day. I can only think of 2 days where he didn't get it. And then the next day he'll put himself on
YouTube
probation.
Ace trades at Winstanzamom, yes. Also yesterday I got a lot of points as well.
That's true. You got to really... The one that you caught yesterday was really quite lucky in retrospect, wasn't it? Because that was a kind of a difficult wishy-washy market. But I'm quite impressed. So I'm saying I can say with absolute certainty, just because Ace comes in and he tells us exactly, unlike anybody else, he tells us exactly what price and when.
YouTube Winstanzamom, I will need new shoes also. But I am not an expensive date. I wear pearls, not diamonds.
Right? He shows you exactly the price, and I haven't kept track of it on a notepad, but I don't have to.
Trades, whomsoever money I took, sorry not sorry.
Yeah, I don't.
YouTube Lucas, is it 12.5 per tick in S?
Yes. No. It's 12.5 per tick. It's 1 point.
YouTube
2.5.
Dojo, Candace Owens is from Turning Points USA.
Oh my gosh! So funny story was my brother-in-law. He's from California, and he's a teacher, so of course he's a lefty. And he was asked. I don't know why the students asked him, or if he volunteered or what. But the students said, "Hey, we're starting this nonpartisan political action group, club at school." And he goes to it, and it's Turning Points USA. I thought you guys said that this was nonpartisan. And I was just laughing. I was like, you didn't know just based off of the name that it's basically a cover. There are a lot more walkaway people than in the DNC realizes, probably. Well, the thing that I think is interesting...
YouTube Winstanzamom, Turning Point USA has a professor watch list.
Probably, yeah. No, oh man, we're going all over the place. I gotta finish the thing on Ace. I know just because he gets his 2 points almost every day. And so you almost don't even have to track it because it's so consistent and he's taking such a small little thing, but then he can size up. It's very consistent. I don't know what he's looking at though. He hasn't explained it to me yet. Someday though, we'll get together and he said that he will explain it to me. And then maybe I can combine it with the other stuff that I use. And I can take e-mini trades more often. As it is right now though, what I do is I wait for my signal. And if I'm getting my signal, now the problem is that my signal says long still. Well, it said long. If he had came in and he had said I'm taking a long here, then I would have taken it. But since they contradicted, I said, okay, no. Because I don't know enough about the spot. I want to know how he gets the spot.
YouTube, Lucas, I don't know either. At Ace Trades, is it gut trading?
No, but he told us that it was a DOM signal, right? I'm pretty sure he said that it wasn't a chart thing. Like the first day that he came in, he said, I just watched the DOM. And I thought, oh, it must be like it ticks up and he sees, a certain amount stacks there. And so he knows if it comes back down that it's going to go through it. Or I can't figure it out. What were we going about? Oh, yeah.
YouTube, Ace Trades, at Lucas, I just click and pray. It got me through Vietnam.
You're not that old, Ace. You're like what, 45? I tell you what, the treasuries are acting up.
YouTube, Winstanzamam, Vietnam, the smell of napalm in the morning. YouTube, Lucas at Ace Trades face with tears of joy.
I've been watching Ken Burns' Vietnam documentary. I find the whole thing extremely interesting.
YouTube, Ace Trades, close enough.
Close enough, you see. So, we were already out. We were already basically out when you were born. Even my dad, and he's like 60 now. He was when sorry, who was it? When Richard Nixon changed the draft to be fair, and the draft number was based on your birthday, he almost got drafted.
Lucas at Ace Trades, how did you started trading on the DOM? It's pretty unpopular. Most traders use TA and charts.
That's a good question.
YouTube, Ace Trades at Lucas, no, not the DOM.
Wow. Do I remember that incorrectly then? So you are looking at something on a chart. Because I've also thought it certainly appears to me like a moving average of some sort. Because it's always a situation where it's gone through something and then he's gonna say, like, it'll come up and it'll be at like
YouTube,
29.15.
Your father is 60. Seth, I went in the Air Force in 78 and put aside my POW bracelet to sit beside those men at HQ.
There you go. It'll go up to like 29.15 and you'll say, okay, maybe there's one at 29.14.25 or something, and then it'll come back down and it'll say wait, and then I don't know. It's so I could see it being based partly off of price movement of some sort. But it's something about the spot that I'm just kind of like, the spot is so much better. The thing is that he's not even always right about the direction. Sometimes the E-mini's direction has just been so clear.
YouTube, Ace Trades at Winstanzamam, thanks for all you have done for our country.
Yeah, and the Air Force, and for quite some time. It's very impressive. Thank you very much. A veteran in our midst. What was I saying? But yeah, it's more like the spot within the range that he picks. He's always on the right spot. And if it goes, even 3 ticks, he knows he's wrong. And to get that much accuracy in the E-mini, I can't.
YouTube, Winstanzamam, Ace. Thank you.
If I was swinging, I could probably. But I don't know if I I don't know. When I first was trying it, when I was just going based off of what I felt and everything in the ES, I had a couple of mistakes, big mistakes, and so I really pared it back. But yeah, my dad was never drafted. He was like they called April and he was in March or something like that. and that was like when he was 19, and then it was very shortly afterwards that they pretty much completely pulled out. Which is so interesting to watch that documentary. They're finally going to push it back down. It kind of looks like that they're exhausted, that they're not going to move up from there. They have to have a pullback. Um, I know that Ken Burns, he kind of tries to present it as like there's no right or wrong side or anything like that. So I don't completely trust his perspective on things. And something that kind of bothers me is that I've been told all my life by people that I knew that fought in the Vietnam War said we could have won that war, but they wouldn't let us. I don't know what it was that where we were winning, because when I watched the Ken Burns documentary, it basically sounds like they basically set up defensive positions in around South Vietnam, and they were just trying to defend South Vietnam, and they never went after the North Koreans, really. They would bomb them to try and convince them to stop, but they never did anything like move into North Korea. They never you know, put together an offensive. It was like they didn't want to win. So I don't know how that would have ever worked.
YouTube, Winstanzamam, a young friend of mine and my son's friend from Admiral Farragut lives in Vietnam now. He is on contract and designs the art for anime and gaming systems. He worked on Tiger Woods' golf game.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, and it's kind of interesting that Vietnam has not been, even though we fought there for such a long time, and that it doesn't seem like Vietnam is particularly unfriendly with the United States anymore. And they've kind of opened up their markets a little bit, like all the communist countries had to, really.
YouTube, Ace Trades, at Winstanzamam. My father was in the Air Force during the Cuban Missile Crisis. My uncle retired a full bird colonel from the Air Force. And I buzzed a general's daughter once.
There you go. But I find the documentary so interesting because it seems like all of the important lessons from Vietnam have not been shared with the current generation. They always talk about World War II. They never talk about Vietnam, and the things that we learned in Vietnam are like way more pertinent to what we're facing today. Like the Syria thing is a good example. Like what we found in Vietnam, one of the big problems was that the government that we were supporting there in Vietnam were not really good guys. There was so much corruption. Like they were a free democracy, I guess, but there was so much corruption in the South. It was a real problem. And that was probably one of the main reasons was it was like we had allies that we couldn't trust, essentially. While you talk about Syria and the Peshmerga, and everybody says, "Oh, we can't leave our allies. We need to help the Kurds." All of these things. Well, now the Kurds are very different because the Kurds, even though they're not a real country, they have like a shadow government and everything. They're actually like really well organized and really.
YouTube, Winstanzamam, Ace. That is very interesting. I read the classified report from the crisis and was rather terrified to learn the story.
Yeah.
What did your father do in the AF? His AFSC? And my father buzzed the calls.
There you go. But the Kurds, I'm not going to say that they're necessarily like good guys. Like, yes, I do think that people have a right to self-determination and that they should be able to create a Kurd state. But I'm not so sure that a Kurd state would be a good thing for the world because the Kurds are very warlike people. The men have like
YouTube,
multiple
Algo
women.
Lover, short answer, yes, still bullish but 131, 240 may stall the progression upwards, so monitor the action if it trades okay hand.
Um, they're polygamous and they have tons of kids, and then they
YouTube
have a lot of
Winstanzamom daughter,
tribal.
thankfully for me. Lol, what did your uncle do in the AF? Mine was a tank commander who studied French and lost his leg, so he ended up in the Pentagon. Also, Colonel Dunn.
So if the Kurds started their own country, you know, and we were like on the hook to help defend them, I'm not so sure that would be something that would turn out well, because we would be in a situation again where our allies are not necessarily the best allies. You know, if it was like we had to move into Israel, okay, then that would be a different thing, because the Israeli government is different and a very solid partner, you know. But Kurdistan, I'm not so sure. And it seemed to me like that Turkey was going to move in there no matter what we did. And so it was probably a wise decision for him to move out. One that he probably knew he was going to get a ton of crap for, but that we don't have the intelligence and he does. And it was probably a no brainer, is my take. But, anyways, what were you saying here? If buyers hold the market above 29.0525, then 29.4225 target. If 29.05 breaks before trading to that target, then anticipate a deeper sell off. What did your uncle do in the Air Force? Mine was a tank commander who studied French and lost his leg, so he ended up in the Pentagon. Oh, that's awful. When Ace says, Mom, he was in the reserves, he was a clerk, and had to figure out how to muster everyone in and then back out. Uncle worked in the Pentagon, drew up the air support for the Bay of Pigs. Oh, the Pentagon. Man. Well, okay, so the Treasuries took a pretty big fall back down there. I'm not seeing a pickup
YouTube
signal there.
Winstanzamom, who Tell your family I send my respect for their service, and please tell the family they also have my respect and thanks. It takes a village and the families don't get medals.
So the issue with this one, we didn't necessarily get a clear cell signal up in here. Like, we got this one in this zipper area, and then interest like really died down. So I'm reading this as exhaustion. So if there's not buy side demand, then does that mean that we start pushing down and we can make new lows? Well, if we do, where would it give us a good entry location now at this point? You don't want to get up in here where it was all chopping around, right?
YouTube Ace Trades at Winstanzamom, thanks dear. You can tell them yourself next family reunion.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Anyways, I am seeing some institutional presence here, but nothing to tell me that they're going to buy it back up. And if I do see it, I have to be a little cautious, because there's going to be this area around in here that they might try and screw with. Also, the E-mini is not look positive so far. It's a square dance reunion.
YouTube Winstanzamom, sounds perfect, Ace. We will have to coordinate a square dance for the reunion. YouTube Winstanzamom, Seth, any alpaca farms in your futures?
Maybe someday. I would have to move to have an alpaca farm, or I would have to be not where my house is.
YouTube Ace Trades at Winstanzamom, I come from a long line of Tango Award winners. It's Tango or nothing.
It's tango or nothing. Okay, this is interesting. So they immediately hit into 19 there. Ugh. Ew, what is that? Hmm. So this is kind of really weird action. There was three ticks up and now three ticks back down. And quite a bit of odd um, institutional behavior. Um, a lot of it ticking back and forth and it
YouTube,
flicking every
Winstanzamom,
tick.
tango, I flush, and my inner goddess grabs a rose between her teeth and starts to tango, EL. James, 50 Shades Darker.
Meanwhile, the E-mini has been moving down. Well, now they're recovering. Maybe they're going to try and make a buy now, and maybe they're going to try to test the buy side, and maybe then the treasuries move down further. And it's still not giving me any kind of really clear indication of anything, really. Hmm. Um. Oh yeah, I saw this thing on when we were talking about Tango and a Rose. It reminded me of this thing I saw on Instagram where they were saying, the Adams family is supposed to be like the exact opposite of your stereotypical 1950s family, and the the key character trait of the husband is that he's deeply in love with his wife, and the key character trait of the the wife is that she doesn't resent her husband, and that's the exact opposite of the typical 1950s. I thought that was really good. You notice if you had tried to sell that, like, say you had caught it as she goes and did 19 half, right? Tick against you, and then down, back up. It may even go back up again. So it's kind of like this is what I'm talking about when I say when money's coming out of the
YouTube,
market.
Winstanzamom, Marlon Brando shook up the movie world in Last Tango in Paris. Sigh, my mother would not talk about that movie, so I read about it.
Paul Krugman saying, imagine what would have been accomplished if we had been willing to spend the $300 billion a year added to the deficit on infrastructure. Instead, it was mainly tax cut for businesses and the wealthy, which were supposed to supercharge growth. Well, I mean, it totally did supercharge
YouTube,
growth, though,
Ace
didn't it?
Trades at Winstanzamom, oh dear, asterisk blushes.
I think there's got to be a reason that the United States economy has been so resilient despite everything that's going on, and I think that all of the stimulus that we put in with the tax plan, and especially with money coming back from overseas, so something's really going on here now. They're really interested in 17 half for some reason. But, all of that probably did help the economy. Would it have been better to have spent it on infrastructure? Maybe. Hard to say. I don't know if the infrastructure is really holding the United States economy back. And the question is the money going into um, productive
YouTube, Ace
ventures?
Trades, next short signal 2912.75 when it comes back down, still too close to open.
912.75. Hmm. The 17 half went off again. Something's definitely happening here.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, The Happening. YouTube,
The happening.
Winstanzamam, vaguely, said Harry, grinning up at him. Didn't you smash down the front door, give Dudley a pig's tail, and tell me I was a wizard? YouTube, Winstanzamam, 17a, said Hagrid as he accepted a bucket-sized glass of wine from Fred. 6 years to the day we met. Harry, do ye remember it?
Oh. Why are you quoting that? It's interesting that he's saying 29/12/75. So now that they've broken a new high, is that signal still valid? Why are they buying that there? No, that's not right.
YouTube, Ace Trades, wow, it's not coming down anytime soon. No, signal wiped out.
Yeah, the Treasuries. So that was a sim order.
YouTube,
Failed
Winstanzamam, that
really
was a bit
bad.
out of context and a bit late, but I was playing with you saying 17. I could have gone Harry Chapin, she is always 17, or I am 16 going on 17. Sound of Music.
I getcha. I understand now. Those two ticks down were pretty. This is curious. We should watch this because they might push down again, but I think that there's a really good possibility of a reversal somewhere in this area. Let's like realign everything. At that point, though, how far down can they go? Can they make the new low? Now, 16.5 is going to be a tough spot, huh? Because that's the edge of the profile. I see a. Oh. I kind of want to take that one. I would have liked to have taken that one. Yes, I would have. 29, 20, almost. 17. If I could have taken 17. How big was that? 1443. It's not like that's not like huge in the EME, but that's still a pretty big bubble. Hmm. They hit into the 17 there very quickly. It's still not quite.
YouTube, Ace Trades, lots of bouncing, just give it a minute or two.
Something's out there. EU Party National Chief South Hawley open to possibility of extension if there are specific and objective reasons. So we may be having some rotation because of Brexit headlines is a possibility. Somebody has definitely come into the market and is working it though. Right now he's doing it with the bid at 15.5. Notice how he pulled 400 and there's only 1600 at 15.5. That's extremely unusual for there to be less at 15.5 than there is at 16. 7:45. Yep, they're doing it
YouTube
at
Ace
15 and a half
Trades
and
at
18 and a
Winstanzamom
half.
got to leave for a bit. Keep my seat warm.
Cool. And hitting into 16 and a half again, it's a little quiet and tepid there, though. Hasn't given us a signal, but that might be one spot that we could look to buy it. A place where you might get a fill, but not have it go against you.
YouTube Uzi Knesset Zipper Mouth Face.
Why are you saying that, Ace? Or Uzi? I haven't gotten the signal yet, so I don't think you take it. But I'm just kind of pointing out the sort of a thing that you would want to see in the DOM that might give you an okay place to take. If you were going to do it through this, I think you would want to buy 16.5. That's the best price it's giving you right now, though, at least. Maria Bartiromo, happening now. Spawn Boy, this market volatility is much more about how far behind the curve the Federal Reserve has been. The Fed was tightening and it was masked by fiscal stimulus. The Fed is too little, too late behind the curve. And Donald Trump retweets that and say, they don't have a clue, but I do. The USA is doing great despite the Fed. Could be. Well, now they're taking 17. So if we had bought 16.5, we'd be happy about that, but it's not, you're not out of the woods. The idea of a Northern Ireland only referendum on single market and custom union membership is certainly gaining some traction. Yeah, but who would win, and would that actually make Brexit easier or harder?
YouTube Ace Trades 2915.75 for a short.
Okay.
YouTube Winstanzamom buy Ace. Your seat, I shall save your seat because we must save the best for last, always.
I'll try it.
YouTube Winstanzamom, I'm 17 and I'm crazy. My uncle says the two always go together. When people ask your age, he said, always say 17 and insane. Ray Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451.
My problem is still 16.5 is the right spot here in the 10-year. So if you're going to buy it, you have to take 17. You're still getting some strange institutional activity. It already looks like I'm missing my 2 points. They didn't come back and get me at all. I could try buying 17, but there's still a possibility they're going to mess around with this range a little bit more. Didn't seem like the market reacted at all to Donald Trump's tweet either, did it? Hmm. Oof. The Fed is cutting rates and doing not a QE, and it's still not enough since zero hedge. Wow.
YouTube Ace Trades at Greg Orlovsky sure welcome. Lol.
Oh, wait,
YouTube Greg
Greg caught it.
Orlovsky Ace thanks got 2 PTS on 3L.
I'm mad. I wanted the $20. It's a good call. It's a really good call.
YouTube Greg Orlovsky lower high.
Yeah. Be careful with reading too much into those, though. Done some study on that. It was not profitable. There it is. It's too late now.
YouTube Ecareo are traders being careful today because of Powell and FOMC? The Russell is not moving that much.
I think so, Way. There's also news in 8 minutes. There's a fairly significant market news in 8 minutes. I think if I'd been able to catch 16.5. The thing is, it didn't necessarily give us a really good key. Like, so it gives me a signal. I expect it to go through and then reverse. But when it was down here and it was giving you 16.5, I didn't feel confident about the way that it was ticking. Like I do now that it's ticked up, it's too late. Now that it's ticked up, you would think, oh, okay, so does that mean that we can just buy 17.5? Not necessarily. Because now you could get the go back to 16.5 and then bounce higher, and they're gonna zigzag back and forth across you there, because those are the people that they're gonna be trying to wash out.
YouTube Greg Orlovsky I can never hold the S at the right time.
Right? There is a little bit of liquidity showing up below them in ES, so that's not necessarily like they're gonna just completely fall out here kind of a signal in ES. Plus, we've got about 5 minutes now to news. Might not be best to take any trades at the moment. But some of the buying might be... What are we looking for again? Final wholesale inventories month over month. We're looking for a reading of spot 4 with a previous reading of spot 4. This tends to be about 2 points off. 0.2 of a point off. Jolt's job openings looking for a reading of 7.35 million versus a previous reading of 7.22 million. That's pretty on par for the course of what we've seen here in 2019. Lots of job openings. I don't know if it will significantly move the markets or not.
These news are not labeled to be major.
Nope, they're not major pieces of news. I think that they might still pull for them, though. We'll see. We'll see. Usually I forget to pay attention and I don't see the pull. And by the way, notice here on the DOM, the spot that we were looking at, 16.5, and they have 1500 on the DOM there. They could trade back down very quickly if they wanted to. There's a bit of volume at 16. that's not indicative of a strong trend up necessarily. Doesn't mean that it can't go, but it would be much more positive if we had seen this, was 3,000 at 16.5 now or something like that, right? Like they're really stacking a ton behind it as they move up. Then that would be like, buy it, buy it. But it's not. It's still acting like they could move back down there very easily. So they're still playing games. That doesn't mean that they're not going to move up, though, because maybe they're making a trade on the news. They don't necessarily want to tip the market off.
YouTube, Gary Rich, next week's earnings 562 reporting. Things will move, watch the ranges.
Thanks for that. Wednesday does tend to be a day that people allocate a lot into the markets, but I guess maybe because of Powell and everything, I'm not so sure that they're doing that today. I think that that's a large part of why we're just kind of doing what we're doing. But they could still move off of this news. There's certainly something going on out there. I mean, there's lots of big orders going around in the 10-year. Some really odd behavior, in fact. So would also keep in mind that there could be a China trade war headline out there lurking, Well, if you had taken 16.5, they're still not giving you 4. 28 hit into 18.5 in the 10-year. It wouldn't get filled. So you get that. They try and tick down, and then they add more size around there. Around the 19.5 and 16.5. I should also note that we're still awfully low. They could really push down. This could just be a pullback, and they're going to really push down.
YouTube, Gary Rich, Eurodollar futures 2020-2021 curves pricing in many more cuts by Fed.
Interesting. I don't understand why the Treasuries aren't pricing in for 4 cuts now. I guess the 30-year did give us a little bit of an indication that they were about to tick up. Could have used that as a signal. Now you did clear 18.5, so you would have gotten 4. And it's not giving you an out, so you could hold it. Unless you want to take out for the news. Now, are they pulling for the news? I'm going to say yes, because those are only 11 and 13. So I think some of this low liquidity might be pulling for the news. This is moderate news, though, so we got to be really careful about chasing it. They may act like that they are really, really moved by it and then not go. Interesting. I thought he testified otherwise under oath after watching the left-wing clown show live for years, saying, I perjured myself. This will be fun. Donald Trump Jr., Donald Trump retweeting, so true, Don, and this was a big lie. Look what happened to friends of Trump for less. Can't let this pass. Oh, right. They're saying we can't let these subpoenas go through that aren't really subpoenas because they're just going to try and use it to smear everybody and punish anybody that's related to the Trump administration. Okay, so the news went through there with basically no fanfare. Let's see if we get the numbers, if it tells us anything interesting. Wholesale inventories was less than expected at spot 2 versus spot 4. The jobs openings, I'm not getting yet. Come on. 7.051 versus an expected 7.35. So jobs openings not as good as expected either. Both numbers were worse than expected. I'm maybe getting an event here in the Treasury again. Does that mean we can sell it? Hmm.
YouTube, Gary Rich. The Treasury auctions are being bought by prim dealers bid to cover ISNT worth watching. Secondary MKT. The price of these treasures are rising. It's hoarding of liquidity.
Yeah. Well, that's another good point. Is that it is an auction day, which tends to push us up in the Treasury futures. But I haven't seen any really big icebergs, and usually on those days, not usually, but I shouldn't say usually, but we do tend to see icebergs on days like these, and including really gigantic icebergs. So, but the liquidity down here is still not stacking. They do have stuff at 16.5 now, but that could be very tepid. Something to watch, but there. Just think about where markets would be trading if last Friday's number was sub 100, because that's what next month's number will be. Says FX Macro, pointing to the JOLTS job openings number. Well, I don't know. Donald Trump tweeting about how Adam Schiff is a disgrace. What's the word that he used? Yes, he's a disgrace to our country, is what he said. China doesn't openly do QE either, of course. It just has a combined fiscal deficit of around 13% of GDP and a central bank that supports the whole pyramid scheme by repoing those assets as needed. And it is about to do a whole lot more too. Quoting Rabobank.
YouTube, Ecoreo. I think I'm gonna shut down. I don't like these FOMC days.
Yeah. I'm still kind of seeing something going on here, and I might want to try and catch something, but well, yeah, anything could happen in the next 30 minutes, but it's really not. It's really difficult action. But part of that is that we've had such good action the past few weeks. What we're seeing today is not. It's pretty typical for treasuries, really. They've kind of come back to like normal behavior. Okay, so they tried ticking down at 18.5, and you start getting the clicky business again. But equities maybe gonna buy again. I don't know. Higher low, not a higher high.
YouTube, Gary Rich. The bond, interest rate, and eurodollar futures are pushing on the Fed. We are in a dollar shortage for global liquidity.
Mm. There's an incentive to buy treasuries because there's not enough dollars out there anyways. And then there's also the incentive because they're probably going to have to decrease rates further. But it's really not the Fed's fault. Don't get me wrong. It's these Europeans, right? They're buying them all. They're buying all the dollars. That's why there's such a shortage. Okay, there was a little bit of liquidity just pulled at 18. Why doesn't the ICIG do something about this scam? He should have never let it start. Them hoax. Responding to Donald Trump. Of course they did. Honestly, at this point, any reasonable American, even those of different political opinions, have to see this for what it is, right? Ukraine whistleblower previously worked with unnamed 2020 Democratic candidate. Pulled a little bit more at 18, but they haven't taken it yet. They're just kind of hinting maybe they will.
YouTube, Gary Rich, yes. Treasuries, bonds are the most liquid to hold for collateral. The world is cutting rates and the Fed has to follow.
Yeah. This goes back to that interest rate policy no longer exists in a vacuum. And that leaves us with some big questions about the effectiveness of certain policies now. Because it seems like we don't have complete control over our interest rates anymore. Democrats are so busy striking while the iron is hot that they didn't even have a vote to start crazy impeachment proceedings, or maybe they didn't want to go on record for the American people. President Trump is right to call them out for its biased and unfair process. So what Donald Trump is doing this morning with his Twitter is a little bit different and not quite what I have seen before, because he's tweeting a ton about this impeachment thing, but it is not just going on some crazy rant. Like normally that's what he does, is he goes on a big rant. But instead he's retweeting other people and responding to other people's tweets and having a conversation back and forth. So it's like, yeah, Donald Trump and Jim Jordan and Donald Trump Jr. are all saying the same thing. That there's something unfair about the way that the Democrats are doing this. Is that intentional? Is it just kind of how it happened to be today? Or is this a new Twitter strategy from the president? Seems different to me, though. Could be just, keep in mind, sometimes my ADHD brain sees things that just aren't there. But it seems different to me. My gosh. On the news here locally, 3 teen girls told police they were trying to collect evidence about a man they believed was trying to have sex with young women. He convinced one of them to get in his car and then drove off. What?
YouTube, Gary Rich. We are in a new regime of endless QE and big deficits. Fed cuts rates, good for equities, bad for bonds yields. It's setting up like 2015, 2016.
Yeah. Well, it does remind me a lot of 2015. It reminds me a lot of 2015 for sure. Although, here's the thing: is like, how can I explain this? We've talked about this, my perspective on markets before. Yeah, I don't know. Can you see that? Yeah, I'm going to draw it over the DOM here, okay? This is what we tend to get. Zoop, 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 you know? That's been the E-mini. that's my rough drawing of the E-mini S&P 500 over the past 10 years or so, okay? And what'll happen in particular that I've been watching and has worked so well is, say we got, like, this is the first thing that happened, and this is where I got it from. Here's a head and shoulders pattern. Oh no. If it breaks this neckline, it's all over for us. Breaks the neckline, stays down for a day, stays down for another day. All right, guys, it's all over. We're going to have a double dip recession. That's what they said. And then what happened? Every time. That was the first time. I don't remember what that one was. The flash crash. The flash crash was like right here. Flash crash, right? Okay. And then they really went up, and then they did it again. And they were doing this. They had this sort of a thing. Ah, na, 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 na. Here's a new low. Oh no, if we make a new low, then we're breaking this 50% retracement line. And then it's really over for us. And the economy is going to collapse because of the euro crisis. It goes down. It goes down another day. And then what happens? Oh, it goes back up again. Man, that has been our market, right? When it looks the worst, and when it gets the craziest, and if you look at the range of these bars down in here, if this was like a range, it'd be like little range here. And then when you get here, it's like bush, bush, bush. Whoa, huge days. 700 points on the E-mini S&P 500. That's crazy.
YouTube, Gary Rich. Remember China stimulated back then and reflated the world's markets, assets. Now China doesn't have the same firepower today.
Could be. I mean, what happened during all of that was the Federal Reserve said, well, we think that the U.S. economy looks pretty strong, but there is a lot of risks out there, so we're just going to hold interest rates neutral and not do anything, and eventually they take it out. And it seems to me that you have some situations that are very technically very negative, but they don't matter because by all the things, if the Federal Reserve is printing money, right? It's the carry trade essentially just keeps it going. That's what we've been seeing. This is different. It's different now. It's different. How could I explain how it's different? We had a new high. Goosh. New high. Goosh. Push up a little bit. Goosh. It's just like this it's like it'll go up there for like a few weeks and then it comes back into this mess. And we've been here for a long time.
Gary Rich. Yes, yes.
Like before it was like, okay, the Euro crisis was like that one summer, right? From like May to August of that year, it really sucked. Okay. The most recent one that we had, the temper tantrum, right? Where the Federal Reserve started to tamper down their monetary easing, and the markets were really upset about that going into Donald Trump's election. And everybody said, well, they're doing it to elect the Democrats. And the markets were very unhappy about it. Went on for, like 2 months, really. It was like September and October of that year, and then they kind of calmed down. Well, it would have been August, September, and then maybe a little bit of October, but it was going into the election, and then just about a month before the election, it kind of chilled out and just hovered there, and then the election happened, right? But this one, it's like, okay, we had a good run last summer, and then we had October, and it was really bad, and then we had December, And it was like, what? And then, oh, everything's cool, guys. We're going up again. And then we had February, we had one, right? I think we had one in February. Let me, before I say that correctly, right? If I come back here, April, May, June, February. Okay, there was a little bit. It was more like this. It was like, okay, this, and then back up. And on here, there was some pretty big dips. Okay. And then here again, here was the May one. And then we made a new high. It was a new high. And then
YouTube, Gary Rich. We are getting towards the end of this business cycle, economic cycle, and expansion one. Any news the MKT participants want to sell it and buy it back, range trading and be patient for the turns.
And then here was the August one. And then September was good. And now we're having the October one, right? So we've had 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. We've had 4 periods of crazy market volatility just this year. And between every one of them, they go back up and they make new highs. Very different market behavior. And that one starts to concern me. I always said the thing that you don't want to see when it's going down like this and you get big range days. Okay, that's good. That's good. To be my experience has been that's good. Buy that shit right there. Whoosh. Buy the dip, guys. Oh my gosh, it's worked so well past 10 years. Just wait. Just wait until everybody is like their hair is falling out and it's the end of the world and we broke everybody's technical levels and it's just the worst thing ever, and then you buy it. Okay? And I always said, you know what really scares me is when it does this. Just kind of all right. Very slow, organized exit. That's what scares me. When I remember when the financial crisis, like that January that Obama got elected, for most of that move until it got to the very bottom, it's a pretty organized move, and then they did this. When they come in and it's just kind of organized selling at the beginning of the day every day, that kind of consistency, that kind of scares me. But now I'm starting to see that really what it is it's going to be panic selling, quick move up, back down, panic selling, quick move up. Market participants want to sell it and buy it back. Range trading, be patient for the turns. Probably. It is range trading for sure. And the thing is, a point that I was going to make earlier and I got distracted when everybody was talking. We had so much fun today, guys, haven't we? Okay. Look at, can I go back further on this chart? Sure it can. Okay. Here was Friday, I think it was. Okay, look at these moves. See that right there? Okay. On the tick chart, it just goes straight down. There's maybe a little zipper right there, but then almost straight down. And look at how clean and organized these back and forths are. Right? And they're good long swings. 8 ticks each of one of these. 8. That's 9, 7, 12, 14, 9. You could get a good trade on every single one of those. Okay? Now look at today. See how it's thick? Right? For every move up, it's like 3 ticks up, 2 ticks down, 3 ticks up, tick down, tick up, tick down. 3 ticks up, 2 ticks down, right? Every step of the way. Fights it. It's hard. It's rangy. It's slow. It's, they make you think that maybe it's not going to go. And all of these sorts of things. I believe that what that's telling us is that money is coming out of this market right now. So they're doing it as they're moving down. People are we've had such a huge move up. If they're not sure if this is going to continue, they're ranging and some money has come out. So there's not as much opportunity for us. That's why you don't get as many moves, because they're not getting new money in the market. So if somebody tries to take profits, they have to be careful about how they do it, because they don't want to lose their profits by selling it. So they have to be very slow and methodical about doing so. And that's why I believe that it moves that way. So if the way to make money is to be, to be ready when market money is coming into the market, then does it make sense for us to put risk on the table today? No, it's not. And I don't think I've taken any trades today. I took one sim trade that didn't work out, right? Took one sim trade that actually ended up being like really terrible. Yeah, it was at 17.5 and they went down to 16.5 very quickly, and then they turned. So that's what I think's going on in the market. It seems like it's best for us to just not do anything. And I thought maybe because of this thing right here, and I wasn't so sure about it, I thought maybe they come up, they go back down, they'll do some weird fancy stuff, and then we'll get another signal, and it'll be a more something that we can have a little bit more confidence in, and will show that maybe there's actually something going on out there. But the way that it's done it says no, that it's just going to continue to be difficult, probably until the news comes. So yeah, I can stay a little bit later today because my car is broken. I'm gonna have to drive my wife to the airport, which really sucks. And she's not going to be leaving until like 9:30, so we could maybe stay a little bit longer today. But nothing's happening. Maybe something will happen. There could still be news. That's the thing. It shouldn't relax, because any second now Donald Trump is going to say he wants a limited trade deal. No, thank you. We're going to fix this now, or no deal. Because I'd be more than happy to just leave put the rest of the tariffs on, and, squeeze China and have a complete decoupling, especially since, they're genocidal maniacs, and we don't need to be involved with people like that. It's lurking out there, guys. Any second now. I'm hoping. You can just hope and pray. Just buy it and it, start praying. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put any risk on the table, but something might happen, and then maybe we would get some opportunities off of that. So I think I should stay vigilant, because this has been a market where news is just lurking around every corner, right? Why is it someone a good or great president if they needed to spy on someone else's campaign in order to win? That didn't work out so well. And if they were unable to fill 142 important federal judgeships, a record by far, handling them all to me to choose, I will have 182 soon. That made no sense. Reading that, I did not read that right. Oh, why is somebody a good or great president if they needed to spy on someone else's campaign in order to win, and if they were unable to fill 142 important judgeships, handing them all to me to choose? Yeah, well, because the Republicans controlled the Senate at that point, he couldn't get anything through. They would never have approved any of the people that Obama wanted. So he figured, let Donald Trump sink the Republicans in the election. But then the Republicans did okay and, you know, kept a pretty decent majority. And then they were able to put anybody that they wanted in. And they knew that they might not have an opportunity like that for a while, so they really stuffed through as many judges as they could. Good times, folks. You can just tell how dead this market has gotten, though, hasn't it? Well, we're back up to 29.15 in the E-mini. Sucks that we didn't get any of those big sells too in the E-mini. That would have been nice. Ooh, well. We got anything in Discord? Alligator says 19 pause. So he's pretty much seeing the same thing that we are. Wow. There was a little bit of activity there on that downtick. Probably, though, they will go down a little bit. They're trying to take it down, but it's just still being really flaky. Hmm. Did we have... we lost a few people. Just wondering if anything weird happened here. Sometimes, things don't update and stuff. And when it starts to get too quiet, I go, what? But no, I think that this is just a crappy market. They're definitely waiting for these Fed notes, I guess. They do tend to be a little bit quieter on days when there's the notes, but I've still seen good moves, and I've never found it to be like incredibly dominant, but today it feels like that it's an incredibly dominant part of the action, you know? I feel like we should do something to boost our technical analysis video here. This is kind of starting to flatten out for some reason. It's like it's old enough now that the algorithm isn't recommending it as much or something. If you haven't watched that video, you should watch it and comment. And tell me why I'm right or wrong. The E-mini certainly is doing some interesting trade here. They've got a good trend going on. They've got a pretty decent trend going on over there. Nearly all of the NBA's Chinese partners have cut ties with the league. Oh, it's so funny with the NBA because the thing that's funny with the NBA and versus Blizzard, right? Okay, the NBA, a coach says something, and then the NBA apologizes almost immediately, and they still lose all of their Chinese partners. So it's like it doesn't matter. Once it's happened, you're screwed. You have to prevent it from happening. So clearly what we need to do is any business out there that we don't like, who would we maybe CNN. So what we need to do is we need to get no, I don't think that CNN has any Chinese ties. We have to get people that have Chinese ties that we don't like. And then have them go out and say something about it. And then they'll try and clear things up and apologize and everything, but there'll be nothing that they can do. They're screwed. Hmm. See, right now the treasuries are kind of starting to turn down, but they're not giving any kind of clear indication about why. They're just trading. It's just moving for no reason. Moving for no reason. Hmm. I wonder if we'll see 16.5 again. If stuff they'll start doing that clicky clicky thing again. Man, I've talked about a ton of stuff today, and I'm just like, I feel like at a complete loss now about what to be saying. And trading back and forth at 17.5 and maybe indicating that they're going to come back out the top again, but it's just being awfully difficult. I kind of feel like they, you know, maybe they thought that there was something was going to happen with the news, and when it didn't, they all just went home. President Obama said that he did not have the right to sign DACA, that it will never hold up in court. He signed it anyway. If the Supreme Court holds DACA, it gives the president extraordinary powers far greater than ever thought if they do what is right and do not let DACA stand. With all of its negative legal implications, the Republicans and Democrats will have to deal to let them stay in our country in a very short order. It would actually benefit DACA and be done the right way. Oh, he's totally right. Like they want the. I think that Congress would actually make a deal. I mean, Donald Trump wants a deal. Maybe that. Well, maybe they couldn't now because of impeachment. But he's right that if the court case, if let's go back, if the court case before had basically been killed then and there, and they said nope, it's not legal, then we would have already have had an immigration deal. And I see all the news squawks repeating that news talk about Trump. I don't know why they would necessarily care, but I guess that's just where we're at. That's just how boring this market has gotten. You know, of course, now that it's so boring and maybe we're going to make a new low. Now the news can come out, right? Maybe. WTI holds overnight gains after record crude production. Where is oil? Oil does not look so happy. Yeah. Should look at it on a longer term chart. They're kind of holding this 52, but overall, it's kind of funny how that whole mess happened with the attack on the facility. It kind of looks like it tricked everybody into getting long, and that's actually part of what made it push lower, right? Remember, money comes into market, money comes out of markets. What's easier to make money on? That right there. This right here. Scalping, very, very difficult to make money on that. Very, very difficult. Oil is a great example of what happened. Traders in S&P 500 index options have rarely been this bearishly positioned. Well, that just means that we're going to have another bull run to screw them over.
YouTube, Gary Rich, LOL on the war with Iran when they had the attack.
Right? Well, the thing that's so weird, I could be wrong. Like, listen, here's the thing. I am not a foreign policy expert. I mean, honestly, what would you have to do to become a foreign policy expert? Maybe if I had worked for the CIA, then maybe I would, I don't think that being a history buff or a news buff is enough to understand those sorts of things. I feel like I have a really good handle on economics and how it relates to politics. So, like, I understand all of the different plans that are out there, and I like to read the research about it, and I spend so much time with it. I feel like I'm a semi-professional when it comes to economic policy and speculation in political markets. Okay, but foreign policy, I would like to think that I know a lot about foreign policy because I read a lot of stuff with the news. But when I start reading things on the news and I start to do the same kind of analysis that I do with finance, I just realize that there are so many pieces of the puzzles
YouTube,
that I
Ace
don't
trades,
have.
and I'm back.
Oh, welcome back, Ace. There's just so much information that we don't have, and so how can you really be a foreign policy expert? Even if you had the background information, there would still be all of the secret information out there that you don't have, and so how can you make a judgment on it? So, with that being said, that I am not a foreign policy expert, it seems to me that Iran really wanted us to attack them. They did everything that they can to try and provoke some sort of a war, and Donald Trump doesn't want to do it. Am I the only one that sees it that way? And it really was funny. Like, the market got really triggered when they attacked those oil facilities. And man, oil moved. That was the biggest move in oil ever. Super crazy. And I remember that day, there was a lot of people coming in, talking to us, a couple of people along. I don't think I saw anybody that said, well, I don't think this is going to cause a big disruption and I'm going to sell this and just hold it until the end of the contract. Nobody did that.
YouTube, Gary Rich, the news has, will be amplifying these moves. Counterfeiting has been worth paying attention to. Do perfect scalps at times, position trading also.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that with today is a good example. I don't think that the piece of news that pushed us down so much overnight was that China was talking hopeful about having a limited trade deal. Limited trade deal. It's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. Could be wrong, but I feel pretty confident in predicting that the administration does not want a limited trade deal, that a limited trade deal is as good as no trade deal to the administration, and that nothing is going to come out of the trade talks this week. And that the Chinese are trying to talk up some sort of a limited deal going into the talks is extremely negative. Extremely negative to having any kind of resolution to this. And so, for treasuries at least, I mean, equities, they can maybe handle it, but for treasuries at least, I say there is absolutely no reason at this point that the Federal Reserve can't cut 4 times if they wanted to. Of course, they don't want to. That's the whole thing. They really, really don't want to lower the interest rates, but the data gives them freedom to do so at this point, I think, and we could have 4 rate increases. And the market's not pricing it in.
Gary Rich, China needs the world more than we need them. It's a closed-end system run by the CCP.
Yeah, I don't know, Gary. How would you calculate that? I mean, there's a lot of people in China, and they have a lot of natural resources. Could not China go on their own at this point and be okay? And do we really need China? I mean, I think that for a lot of these companies to maintain positive growth, they need new customers, and China is one of the greatest places to get them. Although I have to say, listen, are you a company?
YouTube, Gary Rich, no.
No, you don't think so? Listen, are you a company? Do you need new customers? Having trouble with China? Infringing on your free speech? Try India. That's right, India. India is also a high growth population country. And there are a lot of people in India going into the middle class. But unlike China, Indians also love freedom. In fact, I think that Indians love freedom almost as much. Almost. I've met a lot of Indians. Okay. Because I worked with a lot of Indian people. When at Goldman Sachs, they hire so many Indian people. It's crazy. Okay. All right. So I've met a lot of Indian people every year. Diwali festival. Basically, like, we didn't do anything at work at the Diwali festival. We would just go and they would put on a performance and we would eat food all day. It's great. Listen, I love Indian people. There are some annoying things about them. They don't respect personal space, but I really like Indian people. And I think that they love freedom almost as much as the United States does. And hey, if you're looking for a place to grow your business, try India. And no, I don't have any kind of positions or anything in India, but that's just my take. If I had, a much bigger stock portfolio, I think the next thing I really want to get into is nuclear power. I really believe 4th generation nuclear power, good opportunity. And I don't know if it's actually going to work out because there's kind of political stuff around it, but I totally believe in the technology and I totally think it's worth investing in. So that's the thing I'm most interested in. But if I had enough that I was looking to put some money in foreign investments, I would put it in India, not China. Just a thought. It says looking for another short. Well, I think it's beyond the time that I tend to like to take trades, and I'm still not seeing anything in the treasuries. It's still kind of just noise. It very much looks like noise aside from this big old monster thing that happened down here in the 10-year. And was that actually a thing? I don't know. Although the 30-year is kind of saying that maybe you should buy it. Maybe we could buy 17 half, 17 maybe. And I do suppose that the E-mini does look like it's in a pretty good position to sell. But where does Ace say? 29.14. Now that's a little way. That's already 2 points away, right? I don't know. Who do you actually think should be president right now? Trump, Pence, Nancy, Hillary. Of course. This is a funny thing: is does anybody really want Nancy Pelosi to be president? Honestly, if you're a hardcore Democrat, this is your chance to speak up. If you're a hardcore liberal, do you actually want Nancy Pelosi to be president? Because I think that even the most hardcore of liberals out there might be thinking, I don't actually know if I actually want that. Because even the hardcore liberals have their qualms with Nancy Pelosi, right? She is not popular. She is not popular. And she has been not popular for a very long time. Pence, maybe. But, yeah, I don't know. Would having Pence as president really change anything? I don't think that impeaching Donald Trump and making Pence president would make anybody
Gary
happy.
Rich, let's elect Mickey Mouse. That's how silly politics has become.
Right. It's just, to me, I don't think it's politics itself. Like, here's the thing. Politics have always been dirty and nasty. I think the problem is that everybody is involved in it now. It used to be, okay, there would be dirty, nasty politics, but that was all behind doors. That was all, we would do that stuff at convention and maybe in the primaries. And of course we would hit each other back and forth, but we all knew it was a game, and only the really big news buffs, which go and read the newspaper every day, only those people really cared about that sort of a thing. And then social media came along, and we said, let's involve everybody in it. And not all of those people understand that it's a game. And the kind of games that they play is like messing with your emotions, you know? So now you have these people that are like perpetually triggered. Sorry, a little plosive there. Now you've got like this group of people that are like perpetually triggered, and it's just a complete mess. Look at Monday and the Syria thing. Man, oh man. Because one of the things I pointed out in a Reddit thread, I had this interaction with somebody on Reddit. I said, they said it looks like Syria is going to move in. And Donald Trump tweeted, well, if you do anything to my friends, I will ruin your economy. And so it's like, I don't know if they've actually attacked the Peshmerga. It sounded like they were, but then I haven't seen any confirmed reports of anything. So it turns out like maybe they haven't actually moved in. But if they do move in and they attack these people, then isn't that like Donald Trump set up a red line and they're like immediately violating it? So I pointed that out, and people were saying like, this one person was like, so what are you going to do about it? And I'm like, well, probably you do sanctions. And he's like, no, what are you going to do about it? Because clearly Donald Trump only cares about what you Donald Trump supporters say. So how are you going to convince him to stop doing this? And I'm like, chill out, man. Relax. Because like, honestly, do you want a war in Syria? Because like that sounds like that's what the alternative here is if Syria is going to move in and the United States keeps their troops there and Syria says, we don't care, we're still going to attack, and then Americans die because of that. All right. So then do you just drop it at that point? I mean, I think that would probably be the wise thing to do, is to say, well, our mistake, our bad. We should have moved our people out. We're sorry, but we don't want a war. You don't start a war over that. But then it's, of course they're not going to be happy. The Warhawks aren't going to be happy. They're going to want they're going to want military strikes on Turkey. Do you want a war? I don't want a war. So what is it that you expect me to do about it? Like, come on, you lose no matter what you do. And we don't have all of the information. I think it's pretty likely that Turkey was going to move in there no matter what. That's a piece of information that I don't think we have, and I don't think that the administration would share with us, because it would look bad, and that's like classified information at this point, right?
YouTube, Gary Rich. When investing or trading these markets, try to be neutral on politics, so a bias won't skew your views. Pay attention to politics, it's all a game.
Well, this is where I was saying, I have a video on this, actually. It's not one of them. It's one of the lesser popular videos I made when December. I recorded a bunch of videos and then I put them up that week, and I really regret doing that. I should have saved them and then released them in like January, February. But about politics, like, here's the thing. I'm always careful when somebody says to me to keep your emotions out of it. And the reason I say that...
Uzi Knesset, politics is folly. Capital is God, grinning face with big eyes.
There you go. Yeah. The reason that I'm always cautious and I don't like it when people say that sort of a thing, is that the best way to say is I don't like it? I don't know. But the thing is there's no such thing as freedom from your emotions. We're not Vulcans. You can't do it. Vulcans, they, with years of practice and meditation, they can overcome their basal instincts and become purely logical. Humans can't do that, dude. You literally can't. If you get rid of all of your emotion, you will go crazy. Okay? Trust me. Adderall kind of deadens your emotions a little bit. It's not fun. It sucks. Of course, being ADHD, you're on the other end of the spectrum, which is like anytime that your emotions get hit, it's like you feel the full brunt of any emotion and nothing really stops it. The ADHD people feel more than normal people, and it sucks too. Okay. But maybe that's perhaps the reason why I can see things the way that I do, is just because I know what it's like to have your emotions pushed on something. It's like, look, if I speak to a girl and she's nice to me and she shows some interest in me, even if she's
YouTube,
like...
Uzi Knesset, I'm glad I'm naturally a brick wall. Don't need no pills, lol.
Yeah. So she's nice to me, and I'm like, well, why is she being nice to me? She must want something. Yes, and I know what it is that she wants, but she's flirting with me or whatever. I still feel it. I still feel the full brunt of the, what is the word? Like the beginning feelings of a crush or whatever the thing is. And even if I know that person is like no good, I still feel the brunt, because there's nothing my executive functioning mind, without the medication, simply is unable to control the emotional center. It's not strong enough to overcome that impulse. It's too hard. It really
YouTube
sucks.
Ace Trades, we all know what she wants. 2 points a day on multiple contracts.
Right. Probably is what she wants. That's what I should have done. I should have taken up trading earlier when I was dating, and all of the ladies would have been like,
YouTube Uzi Knesset at Ace Trades, wow. Grinning squinting face.
Anyways, obviously I'm a special case, but that's just the way people are. Like, if you get dead, it'll kind of start to bother you after a while. Okay?
YouTube Gary Rich, emotions for trading is bad. We can all agree on many things. I'm numb and dead when trading.
So I would say, if you think that you are numb and dead, that to me is always a little bit of a signal.
YouTube Ace Trades, anyone pull the trigger on 2914.00 short?
No, I
YouTube,
didn't.
Uzi Knesset, it's simple bro. Just be rich. Problem solved. Why aren't you rich? Stop being so poor.
There you go. No, I thought that we had moved up too far for the signal to be valid anymore, so I stopped watching it. Otherwise, I might have taken it when it came back down there. Although I don't know if I like what the Treasuries are doing right now. They had a big move up there. I probably should have shorted that 19 if I was still taking trades, but I was too busy talking because we're not taking trades anymore. We're not paying attention. Anyways, back to what we were saying. Look, you're always going to have emotions.
YouTube, Greg Orlovsky, yes, short from 15.50.
And I say, you can't get rid of them. If you think that you are, you're lying to yourself. And the real key is understanding when you have emotions and
YouTube,
not
Ace
letting them
Trades,
affect your
at Gary
decisions.
Rich, I still feel like I'm having a heart attack when it goes against me. I can't get rid of the emotions.
There you go. There you go. I don't think that it goes away. You can just know when you're in that
YouTube,
state.
Ace Trades, at Greg Orlovsky, nice one bro.
Know what you're supposed to do and do the logical thing in spite of what your emotions are telling you. That's the best that we as humans can do. That's what I think. So,
YouTube, Greg Orlovsky, you've been calling good levels.
he's really good, right? Whenever you take some, you always get the 2 points at least. But anyways, so when it comes to politics, it's the same thing. You can't divorce yourself from your politics. You're going to see the world.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, it does if you get up and walk away for 30 minutes.
There you go. You can't divorce yourself from your politics. Even when you're trading, you're going to have opinions about things, about politics.
YouTube, Ace Trades, at Greg Orlovsky, thanks. I'll tell me CME guy you appreciate him.
I wish I had taken that earlier one. Anyways, you can't.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, I stopped watching trades play out.
Yeah. You can't divorce yourself from the politics, but what you can do is you can say, I have an opinion, but it doesn't affect my trade, right? And that's the key, and that's the big thing, is like, you might say that your opinion is that that tariffs are great and are actually beneficial to the economy, and that this is a great thing. So every time that you want to you hear tariffs, you actually want to say, oh, actually, in the long run, that's good, and I want to buy the E-mini. Well, it doesn't matter because the market doesn't like it. It's very, very clear. They've shown time and time again, anytime that the probability of tariffs happening is more likely, the market goes down. And so you have to sit down and say, my political opinion doesn't matter. I'm going to trade what the market says. That's what you can do, right? But at the same time, you can use your opinion on politics to your advantage. Okay? Remember, the market, most of those traders are Democrats. Most of the institutional traders are Democrats. I'm telling you, I don't know how I can prove that to you, but I've worked at those companies. They all live in New York. Most of them are Democrats. They're business Democrats. Right? I have to control my emotions when trading my plan, rules, strategies, do the work, and take the emotions out. Yes. Well, I'm saying that's not taking the emotions out. That's just you overriding them.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, so, Republicans? LMAO.
Well, so the key thing is if you're a Republican, anytime that you see something in the market that the Democrats, that there's going to be a difference between what the Democrats and the Republicans want, you can wait for the Democrats to buy it, and then when it's all played out, fade it. You can do that on Predicted quite effectively. Like I'm telling you, Hillary Clinton is not going to be president. Okay, Andrew Yang is not going to be president.
At Gary Rich, good for you. I am not there yet.
I think pretty likely that those two candidates are incredibly overbought on Predicted. But why is it doing that? Because that market does appear to be mostly Democrats. And so if they buy onto something and you know that in the long run that's not going to work because you can see it from a different perspective as a Republican, you can totally take advantage of that. Right? trying to think of an example here. Well, like I think another example, and the reason why I made the original video was in December, the markets were awful, right? And all of the Democrats said, hey, this economy is fake and Donald Trump is ruining it and we should sell the crap out of this. And I said, as a Republican, well, no, the data says.
YouTube, Gary Rich. I talk to my border collie a lot. She told me I'm a sociopath. LOL.
There you go. But honestly, the data wasn't that bad. The Federal Reserve had a good point that they're not it's not necessarily screaming cut rates yet. And it was December. It's like all this stuff happened on low liquidity days. And so because I was a Republican, I was able to say, you know what? This is not going to last. I actually went there and I tried to rearrange my 401k, but by the time that it would take place, it would have been too late. So I didn't do it. But I knew that was going to come back. And that's why I made that
YouTube,
video.
a mini trader. Is the market moving right now cause of Powell?
The market's moving? Is it moving? I'm looking at it. Well, we've moved down 5 points in the E-mini. I guess you could consider that moving. I think it's moving because everybody's finally figured out that ACE is the true axe in the E-mini S&P 500 market, and because he went short.
YouTube, stickball, look at S.
They are moving around a little bit, but I'm not seeing anything in the Treasuries. They're still at 17.5. And in fact, activity is quite low. And I'm not so sure that 7 points down in ES is a huge deal. I don't think it's because of Powell, though. There's not. Oh, well, you're right. He's talking right now, isn't he?
YouTube, Greg Orlovsky. Still have it, OMG.
You still have the short. Oh, that's a good job, dude.
YouTube, Ace Trades. Lol, I do wish everyone in the world would take all my trades. They can't stop us all.
Yeah, as long as you get to take it first, right? And you get to take it off first. That's yeah. So the issue with everybody. Oh, okay.
YouTube, Ace Trades at Greg Orlovsky. You are in? Good for you. You are buying lunch.
That has got to be from Powell for sure. That move right there. Now that was a stop run, so they might come back up here now. Somebody absorbed a ton in there, in fact. The institutional guys pulled, so probably they are light
YouTube,
liquidity
Gary Rich.
because of
Half
him.
percent moves or become noise or noisy.
Yeah. So I would be really careful here. Like, if I had been short in the S&P, or sorry, if I had been short in the 10-year Treasury, that activity that we just saw there at 15.5, I would have exited at 15.5. That's a stop run. There's a possibility of a reversal there. And he's still talking, and there's going to be audience questions. So this could go on and be, you could get markets that move randomly up or down based on what he's saying for the next hour or so. I'm not seeing on Twitter though what he said. There was a real stop run there though, wasn't it? Look, it's low liquidity all the way to 13.5 now. Whoa. I'm seeing a lot of retail traders taking positions here and some large bids showing up. So this is unusual because there are not associated pulls, which means these are new orders showing up as bids in the 10-year. Makes sense? Like if I have an order down here, and I have an order down here, and then I move it, and it's a 400 lot, then I will see both blue and red here. But because I only see blue, that's 5 orders of 400 or more put on at 25 and 26 area. Yeah, 130, 25, so quite far away. Some at 13.5. Stacking and pulling. Anyways, new bids. So probably some guys that just entered into shorts and are waiting for it to go down to there. I'd still be careful. I'm not so sure that I could trade this.
YouTube, Gary Rich, crude pumped up and gave it back fast.
Oil has been all over the place today. It's a little difficult. I think that they might touch 13.5 still, though. Why is there only 800 there? I mean, that is incredibly odd. I have never seen anything like that. Is so weird. Okay, now somebody put something there. That's still very light liquidity. They clearly don't want to be in while
YouTube, J
he's talking.
Constant, Bitcoin pumping, don't you FOMO?
Nope. Well, it was just like we were saying earlier. Oh, it went up to 8,500. It's just like we were saying earlier. You can't get away from your emotions. Now, the thing is with Bitcoin, I just don't care. So I don't really feel a whole lot of emotional attachment to it. Maybe if I was in a position, I would. But I have a pretty strict strategy about when to buy and sell. And it says,
YouTube,
don't buy.
Gary Rich, crude is going to test the high 40s handle. YouTube, J Constant, haha. YouTube, Ace Trades at J Constant, not at all.
Not at all. Not at all. It is back to 8,500. But remember that it was 10K that was like, even at 8,500, it's still kind of like just a dead cat bounce. Really. I mean, not that it matters.
YouTube, Amini Trader, Seth, are you ever going to buy Bitcoin? Or just trade?
Totally.
YouTube, J Constant, the moon says Bitcoin going to 200K and he is conservative.
Nope. The moon says maybe. Nope. I say I post my thoughts on Bitcoin every day on the Patreon. So if you really, really want to know what I think about it and which spots I'm looking for, then you should look at that. I'll only tell you that it says don't buy.
YouTube, Gary Rich, I'll take all the bets for BTC 200K.
But I'm just
YouTube,
saying.
Ace Trades, at Amini Trader, I wouldn't buy Bitcoin if she was the last woman on earth.
I wouldn't have to buy her at that point, I would hope. If Bitcoin is the last woman on earth, we're doomed. It's Ace and Bitcoin. That's the end of humanity right there. But no, look, I mean, think
YouTube, Amini Trader, whoever the moon is, tell him to go get a job.
There you go. Look, we had a support zone here. We have a resistance zone here. We have a support zone here. Not that technical analysis matters, but I'm just saying those are the spots that it's tending to go as it's doing this. Right? So that it's up to 8,500, is that really significant to us?
YouTube, J Constant, his job is copying other YouTubers.
There you go. That's great that it made it up to 85. Maybe they can make it to 86 and make a new higher high. Still wouldn't matter.
Ace Trades, if the feds would keep their hands off of it, it would look at getting some Bitcoin. I like the idea of unregulated money out there that is untraceable and non-taxable.
There you go. Well, that's still the tether thing for me. But I digress. I'm just saying, a move up here. Well, there's that. But is it really that important? Probably not. Especially since, well, I mean, look, what's going to happen if this area right here? I wouldn't put it outside of the range of possibilities that they retrace some of that, because you can totally, in treasuries, the tendency is that they will push until they
YouTube,
reach the
Gary
single
Rich
prints.
at Ace LOL.
Right? They won't reach significant resistance essentially until 9,400. And then, even then, you can always get like this little, it'll come up. Wait.
YouTube, Ace Trades, another short signal 2909.00.
There you'll get, so here's the level. So you'll get this. And then they'll go, oh, whoops.
YouTube, J Constant, crypto is traceable and is not anonymous.
Yeah, it's not anonymous. Well, I don't know if I would say it's not anonymous. We, for the most part, don't know who owns what wallet.
YouTube, Ace
but the
Trades,
government
30
does, apparently.
seconds too late, sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm not going to take any more trades today. It's way past my time. Unless Powell says something like incredibly buy the bonds, I'm hands off.
YouTube, Winstanzamom, popping in for a sec. Sorry
Hey.
to interrupt. Political channel for you, Seth. Kai Watson, Andrew Young gang. Funny kid and smart and a bit enthusiastic over Young. He live streams TTY. YouTube, Ace Trades at J Constant, you know what I mean, yes?
So anyways, the point of all that was, hey, look at the way that they came back up there in the treasuries.
YouTube, Ace Trades at Winstanzamom high again.
That's possibly shortable, guys. Well, Ace did get a signal. Where was it? It was 2909. Well, it looks okay. Treasuries surely came down there. Obviously, a couple of people got caught on that. Could maybe do a
YouTube,
sim
Ace
order.
Trades at Winstanzamom Ace Trades 5 at gmail.com.
And there you go.
YouTube, Winstanzamom, hi again. I was learning about style over on another channel, but she was not talking about dresses for dancing, so I popped over here to yank Yang's chain for Seth.
I did tell you, I mean, maybe I'll go and watch it. I really think that
YouTube,
the
Gary
Andrew
Rich,
Yang
it
fans
climbs
are
up and giveth back.
really crazy. Crazy is not the right word, but I don't feel like that they understand a whole lot about the world. Yeah, I don't know. Like, the thing that makes me say that the most is when I've spoken to the Andrew Yang followers, they honestly believe he's going to win. He does not stand a rat's ass chance in winning. It is like, I would judge his chances of winning at 1%. That's what I would rate it as in the betting markets. And they have it at 10% because of all of the Yang Gang people out there buying it. Probably buying it because they think if they buy it up that other people will get on board. I just hate, this is the thing. And it just goes back to the cryptocurrency thing that we're talking about, right? Okay. Or even honestly, Ace was talking about it earlier, right?
YouTube, a mini trader, even 1% is too much.
Even 1% is too much. Look, you don't want the logic for your trade to be everybody else is doing it too. You don't. Think about it. I mean, if there was something out there that was really that reliable and everybody did it, okay? If it works out, I guess. But it's going to move so fast. It's going to be hard to get in.
YouTube, Ace Trades at Gary Rich Yup. Wish I was still short like at Greg Orlovsky.
There you go.
YouTube, Winstanzamom, this young man has money. Watch his live stream from home. His home or live stream corner of the room looks like a home from Risky Business, Al Wright.
I'll go
YouTube
look.
Ace trades at Winstanzamom or he lives with someone who has money.
I want to see, how people have their rooms set up and what their tables look like. I'm particularly interested. Anybody that has a triple monitor setup, what they did with it, because it seems to me
YouTube
that a desk
Winstanzamom
for
or he
that,
could be live streaming from college, perhaps.
yeah, seems to me that like an actual like really good setup for that does not yet exist, and maybe I'm gonna have to build my own table for it. I don't know. Anyways, look, you don't want your trade to be what everybody else is doing.
YouTube Gary Rich Young winning is about a chance of me marrying Ms. Universe.
It's like I think the best explanation for this is to get out of markets for a second and look at horse racing. Look, in horse racing, okay, the house always wins, makes money, right? You guys are all betting, they still make money, okay? Now, if everybody thinks that a certain horse is going to win, guess what happens? Yeah. I tell you what, and some super shady stuff happens with horse racing, right? They'll be like, this horse is actually really, really good, but he's been sandbagging or whatever the thing is. But the whole point is like, if everybody is long and they think that a certain horse is going to win, there is a very strong incentive to screw that up. A very strong incentive to screw that up. Because if you're on the other side of that trade, how much money do you make? You make a ton of money. You don't want your trade to be what everybody else is doing. So, especially if you're trading Bitcoin on a short-term basis, this idea, hey, the more people that buy Bitcoin, the more it's going to go up. So I should go around the internet and evangelize my position and say, hey guys, you got to buy it. You want to buy it because it's going to go up, and that's what's going to make it move up. Bad idea. Bad idea. What's going to happen? You're all going to get long, and the owners of BitMEX are going to go, well, it looks like everybody is long. I wonder what would happen if we push price below 7,000. Boosh. You're all stopped out. That's what happens. Even if the fundamentals were good, which they aren't in Bitcoin, but let's just assume for a second that they were good and that the real long-term trade really is long. If you go and you do that, they're still going to screw you over. No, you want to be in the trade before everybody else, when nobody else wanted to do it. Like they're at 17 when it came back, or frankly, buying it at what was it? 15, right? We just had this huge stop run lower. You want to buy it at 15? No, but that was a good trade. And of course, eventually, look, there was some buying there. There's some volume and everything like that. But when you took it there at 15, you were the lone guy, right? You were the vast minority. And that tends to be the way that you're going to make money in trading, is you're going to take a trade when it's a minority, and then everybody else is going to come to your side, and that's when you make money. This is why I will stress so much. The biggest key is always when new money comes into the market, right? If you sit and you understand your instrument really well, you're going to know when people are going to be coming into treasuries. You're going to be one of the first people to see it, and you get to take advantage of that. And then all of that money comes in, and you get to be the market maker, and you get to pull a little bit of that money out. Yeah? But you don't, being in the majority tends to be a scary thing, okay? You're in a long, and then all of a sudden, it seems like everybody wants to buy it really badly. And there's this stop run, and there's like thousands of contracts buying it up there, and they're just eating through everything. You think about taking it off, because they turn there. That's where they turn. Everybody's in. Somebody has to take profits. And if 80% of traders are long, it's going to come back on you. Even if the longer term trend is up. And that's where, again, It's like that's money coming out of the markets. So when money's coming out of the markets, what happens? You get this behavior that really screws over market makers. Because that's where they take their profits from then at that point is from you. What did Win say here? Big up by me. We live in Kentucky. I will go Googling live streaming horse people and see what their setups are. Yeah. I don't know if it is there a horse racing community on YouTube? That would be interesting. I should have sold all my bags when my friend told me that her new mother meetup group members were starting to get interested in buying Bitcoin. Exactly. Man. Well, for me, it was when my raver friends were talking about Bitcoin. Whenever my raver friends start talking about Bitcoin, I go, okay, yeah. It's over, folks. Let's go. You'll go back and watch the most popular video on my channel. Opening night, Bitcoin futures. I don't know where in the video it is. You would have to search for it and dig for it. We should probably go out and dig it out again. But I straight up said right in there, I was like, I'm always careful when you make a prediction. You've got to be, because especially if somebody might take a trade off of that, which would be bad. I'm not a certified financial advisor, right? But I have my opinions, and I'm totally willing to share my opinions. And I said, look, the introduction of futures makes it easier to sell. That's more sellers. Price should go down. And it's already crazy overbought anyways. So yeah, we're going to go down. That's my prediction. I was 100% certain. If I had a way to short it, I would have done it.
YouTube, Gary Rich. It's like playing in the great white shark and piranha tank, feeding frenzy. Try not to become bait.
Exactly. You don't want to be in that. I think the way that it works is that you'll get in. It's quiet. Like the best trend trades, right? You'll get in and it'll be really quiet, and then it'll start going up, and then people will start getting excited and you get a run. And then all of a sudden the sharks will come. You'll see them trying to stop out the big guy. And the big guy gets stopped out. You wait for it to relax. There'll be a pause. And then you get rid of it right then and there. Right at the height of, it'll be slow. And then, oh, here's the shark. Right there. You went out. You'll see it on the DOM. It's very obvious. It's very obvious. You look at real stop runs. We had one yesterday, right? We had one today too. We had one down here at 15. They're very obvious. You will see 3,000 to 4,000 trade amongst 2 or 3 prices all at once. As somebody getting out. They might push a tick further than that. But once that calms down, get out. Because that means that everybody was long. That means that everybody, it means that all of the big guys that were long just got out. They all sold. So who's left to sell? Nobody. You get out. Oh, I think it's about time for me to get going now. Should be time. I don't know where my wife is, but did she already? Well, I don't think she already left, but I'm going to have to go look. So, I have to go drive her. Some interesting trades in there, but not my kind of action. I think I did the right thing. Not trading it. Maybe I could have pulled 4 ticks out somewhere, but that one especially, that would have been a good trade, but the time frame and the liquidity, it was not. Nah. And there's still this news, right? So, anyways, we had fun. I enjoyed you guys' conversation here. Did I miss anything else? Yeah. Oh yeah, I should have sold all my alts. Yeah, go back and watch that video. I was so confident. I don't think I'll ever be as right about something ever again as I was about Bitcoin crashing in 2017. Bum, bum, bum. And yeah, if you guys are looking around the internet and you see a really good triple monitor setup or a really good desk with built-in cable management solutions or like built-in brushing, there's like a little brush that you can use for cable management so that the cables come through the brush, but then you can't
YouTube
see down.
Winstanzamom. See you later, Seth. I hope everything works out with the car.
Yeah.
Please hit like for speculators this channel. Good job, traders. Aim or fatty, not FOMO.
Not FOMO. I like it. I like that a lot.
YouTube Winstanzamom. I will link equipment-worthy channels later during the day as I find them.
Yep, cool. Thank you. I've been searching a lot on YouTube, so you might find some of the same stuff, but I haven't seen very many good triple monitor setups, so that's kind of where it goes. Anyways, see you tomorrow. Stay profitable.